Hey there, I'm Adam Dobrinich, Bay Area real estate agent and certified probate and trust specialist. Today I want to talk about a question that I often get when clients call me. They're getting ready to start the probate process and they really just want to understand, should they be selling the property off market, usually to an investor, or should they list the property with an agent like myself? It's a really good question, and there are a few factors that are really going to dictate which direction that you want to go, and I want to dive into those today. Now, the most important factors for us to consider are going to be your timeline, your goal for the property, and your ability to execute on the outcome that you want. And usually your ability to execute on the outcome that you want are going to be dictated by the time that you have available, the resources that it's going to take to deliver on that outcome, and lastly, do you have the money to do it? That's really the foundation of what we need to understand and really get aligned on in order to decide which the best route to go is. But before we dive into all the questions that we would need to answer that's ultimately going to help us to make that decision or come to the conclusion of how you want to sell it, is really for us to understand what it means to sell a property off market versus listing to an agent. So let me dive into off market first. So at a very high level, selling a property off market means that you are not listing it with an agent on the MLS. It's not going to be advertised and syndicated the way a normal property would be if you are listing with a traditional agent, doing a traditional listing, getting it on the MLS, seeing it on Zillow, and all of those other kinds of things. Usually the reasons for selling off market kind of come down to a few different things. First, if the property needs a lot of repairs or a lot of work and you just don't have the time or the money or the energy to do that. Also, if you happen to need a quick sale because of some impending timeline that you need to meet, or you need the money quickly, an off-market sale can make a lot of sense. And usually an off-market sale is to an investor. Now, the big thing when it comes to selling a property off-market to an investor is that the investor is going to want to purchase the property basically at a discount, because they are going to need to account for the repairs that need to be done, the amount of time that it's going to take them to rehab it, and the carrying costs that are going to be included. And then of course they want to turn a profit on it. And so when it comes to selling off market, you really need to focus on whether your priorities are selling quickly, needing money quickly, don't want to do the repair work that's needed on a property. The answers to those questions can really help guide you as to whether or not you want to pursue an off-market sale. But there are certainly pros and cons to doing that, and you can also do it with a real estate agent. A real estate agent like myself has a big network of investors, people that they're able to call up, say, hey, I've got a property, this is the situation, this is the scenario. The investor would come out, they would walk the property, they would run their numbers, see if it is a project that they're willing to take on, see if the numbers make sense for them, and then ultimately make an offer. Usually those properties close very quickly. Oftentimes an investor will purchase it with all cash or use hard money, which means that in normal circumstances they're able to close in 10, 14, 21 days. So again, if you need money quickly, you need to get the property sold quickly, selling to an investor off market can be a really great option. And like I said, working with an agent like myself who has a large network of investors in their Rolodex can really help make it an easy and smooth process to get it sold. Now, the main con for selling off market really is that you are going to have to sell the property at a discount. That's usually what occurs. Now, occasionally you will sell to someone that's looking to purchase, an off-market property and use it as their primary residence, but that is pretty rare. And so oftentimes, because you are selling to an investor or somebody that's looking to flip the property or use it as a rental in the future, they are going to want to purchase it at a discount. So again, it'll basically be a trade-off of what's most important to you based on what your goals are and what your needs are for the property. Now, conversely, listing a property with an agent, doing a traditional listing, is going to come with its own set of pros and cons. So when you list with a traditional agent, again, someone like myself, you are going to have a more standardized timeline for selling the property. And oftentimes that'll be dictated by the type of market that you are in at that time. So if it's a very hot seller's market, the property could go very quickly. If it's a buyer's market, it could sit on the market a bit longer. And so kind of depending upon what your timeline goals are, that can also help dictate as to whether or not you want to try for off market or use a traditional agent. Now, using a traditional agent and selling it in a traditional fashion, of course, you're going to have a lot of the protections that come with doing the paperwork properly, doing the disclosures properly, making sure that you are covering yourself, covering the estate when it comes to properly disclosing everything that you need to, and having an agent being able to guide you through that. Usually there's going to come with a period of time prior to putting it on the market where you do the property preparations. Now, the property preparations are going to be everything from cleaning and decluttering the property, cleaning the carpets, doing some painting, landscaping, just some basic type of repair work that you would want to do in order to make sure that we are presenting the best product to the potential buyers on the market. That will ultimately help us to drive a higher purchase price. Now, included with that property preparation, working with an agent, you're going to get the professional photography, videography, aerial drone footage, website, lots of different types of marketing that will be done, social media marketing, advertising, connecting with the folks in the neighborhood to try to find a buyer for the property. And so that type of property preparation, depending upon how much work you're doing, can be anything from a week's worth of time up to a month or a couple months if you're doing a much bigger rehab. But the pro for listing with a traditional agent and going the traditional route for the property is that usually you will end up netting a much higher sale price for the property. So again, if time is not a big issue for you, if you're looking to maximize the amount of money that you are getting for the estate on the sale of the property, going the route of a traditional agent is probably a really good way to go. Now, like I said, you can use an agent in either scenario to help guide you through either one of these processes, but it is important to understand the distinction between selling off market and listing with a traditional agent and knowing those pros and cons. So let's jump into the questions that you should be thinking about when you're making this decision or going through the decision-making process, with the heirs, with your attorney, and trying to figure out the best way to facilitate the sale of this property. So a lot of the questions I've kind of mentioned in my examples of trying to help you to understand the difference between an off-market sale and selling with a traditional agent. And the things that you would really want to consider is which is going to be better for your particular situation in your particular scenario. So again, things like timeline. Do you need to sell quickly? Do you need the money quickly? Does the estate need the money quickly? Are there back taxes owed? Is the property in the process of going through foreclosure? All of those factors can be a big determinant in which direction you want to go with selling the property. You also want to ask yourself, are you willing to do the repairs or not? Do you have the money to do the repairs? Does the estate have the money to do the repairs? Do you have the resources necessary to do those things? And then lastly, are you potentially willing to sell at a discount? Conversely, asking yourself if you want to sell for top dollar, if you're willing to go through the timeline and the process to really get the property ready to go on the market, bring a good product to the market that buyers would be interested in. These are all the types of questions that you should be thinking about, that you should be talking with your attorney, you should be talking with the heirs of the estate, and of course, talk with your real estate agent. The input and the perspectives that you get from these various people are going to make this decision a lot easier for you. And lastly, it is very important for you as the personal representative of the estate to always keep in mind, always be asking yourself the decisions that you are making, the choices that you've decided on, are you acting in the best interest of the estate? If you are doing so, you are doing the right thing. And I would always highly encourage you to talk with your attorney. They will help guide you down the right path through this process. So again, use the resources that you have available to you to help you in your decision-making process. So if I can be of any help at all, if you have any questions, you just want to chat about your scenario, want to get a little bit of input, a little bit of feedback, I am here as a resource for you. Please do not hesitate to lean on me. My calendar is always available to book a call, so please do not hesitate to do so. And again, work with the right agent to guide you through this process. Their input and their experience can really help make this a lot easier on you, a lot more seamless. The right agent should be able to help facilitate either an off-market sale for you or going the traditional route. So just make sure you're working with the right person, somebody that has the experience, the network, and the resources to help get the job done for you. Please do not hesitate to reach out if I can be of any assistance to you.